Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and I haven't been putting up as many videos as I normally do lately, and I'll explain why as we go along here. If you've been following my channel, you know I've been having some sciatic nerve pain, and it was really bad when it started, and it's getting better. I went to the doctor, and they're going to give me some x-rays when I get around to it or whatever. Anyway, so that's that's one reason. Just didn't feel like doing much. And then another thing is we had a terrible rainstorm. I mean, you can't believe, it's hard to believe how much rain can fall in just a few minutes. And that was about, now it's about a little more than 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Time goes by so fast. And it was so heavy that this field that we're looking up out there, it flooded. And then, of course, they didn't have their flood control designed properly. And you'll see that little puddle there. All the water from that field ran into the yards of all those houses on the right there. Now, it rained so hard and thundered. If you take a look here in the upper left corner, the latest strike was 0.0 miles from where we live back there. And there were several of those over there. And so, I mean, it was so heavy, the rain was. So anyway, a couple of days ago, I got on my e-bike and went out, and I wanted to see what it was, because these folks put up pictures on the local Facebook channel, and this was all water. And you can see the tracks on the right there from cars that went around the corner and trucks, and where there wasn't any gravel or pavement. And then they had put in these trenches along the side of the road, which did nothing. And like this field right here, the pictures that they showed on Facebook, that was totally covered with water. And some of the people couldn't get into their front door because there was the water was so deep. And there was a picture of that there. That trailer was sitting surrounded by water. And and there's the one flood control, real honest-to-goodness flood control effort that they made, which wasn't enough. Generally, a contractor will put in, 4 or 5 of those, and then plants grass and trees in it, and so that's where water collects. And then when there's no water, it's a play place, a park place for the kids. So this is what it looked like as I flew over. And by the way, in that field there, right below us, when I was on my e-bike, I could see that they had already staked out put in some stakes to mark off streets or something like that. And so they're actually getting started on it. And that looks like maybe since the flood over in the upper left corner, they may have started digging out more places for water to collect. And but I think I probably would spread them out, left and right and up and down and all that if I was doing it. But then, what do I know? So what I'll do is, as we look at the sites here, I will tell you another story. And, look straight below there, you can see the stakes that they've got laid out. Anyway, I'll tell you another story about when my folks moved from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Renton, Washington, so that my dad could work with United Airlines at it was a Boeing plant there in Seattle. Anyway, so they moved, and they bought a 10-acre piece of land 6 miles east of Renton on what they call Cemetery Road, and so it was all wooded back then, and somebody had built a house or brought it in or something, and it didn't have a foundation. It was just on logs crisscrossed back and forth, and the kitchen stove was heated with wood. So my Aunt Chloe knew how to. She lived with us, and she knew how to cook on a wood stove like that. And I don't know if my mom ever learned or not, but Aunt Chloe always lived with us. She was my grandma's sister. So anyway, and then they also, now here we're looking at what they're doing. They're moving the dirt. The guys moving away from us are scraping it up, and then they turn right up there, and then they dump it there in that field where that tractor, the scraper's running. So anyway, they decided that they would, I don't know, it's because they came from Wyoming, but they decided they would raise cattle. That's just kind of a joke because they bought one steer, I think it was, and they named him Blackie. And of course, my dad built his own electric fence, which worked great, but they didn't have any field, so he had to just string it through the trees in probably just a small area. And but Blackie either couldn't see him or wasn't fazed by it. But anyway, he was always breaking that electric fence and going on beyond the limits. So finally, they got rid of Blackie. I don't remember how old I was. I know I was 4 years old when they moved, and so they lived there for 5 years. And it had a well house. And in the wintertime, you had to be very careful because the pipes would freeze coming from the well house underground over to the little house where we lived. And it wasn't very big. It was like 40 by 40 at the most. And so anyway, that house I have a lot of memories from that house. My dad he was re-shingling, and so he let me climb up the ladder to go see what he was doing up there. And of course, when it came time to go down, I was scared to death. I wouldn't. They had to coax me and coax me and coax me. And since then, I've changed a lot. But anyway, it was like I was really scared. So it looks like they put a road across there diagonally. I just was going to mention that. And there's their flood control, which every place else has at least 2 or 3 or 4 of those or more. Anyway, so that's where I started in grade school, and I don't know if I've told some stories about my first day in grade school, but probably I'll tell you next time around because it's time to go home here. And as I come in, I want you to take a look. You can see me standing out there by the trailer as we come up. And take a look and see if you notice, if you've been following my channel, see if you notice anything different about the layout there or the way things look as we come in. And so you can put your comments in if you guessed it before I told you what it was. So I'm bringing it in, and over on the left is the little addition to the shop that my son made for us. So we didn't have to stay crowded in the fifth wheeler. So we had that terrible rainstorm, and the way the little addition is made, the porch didn't have enough slope to it for the kind of, he had the same metal as goes over the main shop. He ran it all the way down there. And so it just didn't work. Every time we have heavy rain, it would backwater or seep back and not get off the roof fast enough. There was slope to it, but it just wasn't enough. So anyway, he decided that that's not going to work anymore, so he took that down. And this is some roofing that you roll on. It's guaranteed for 12 years, and it's you can get either the there's 2 types, one acrylic and one silicone. The silicone is a lot more expensive because it's got a longer lifetime guarantee, but the acrylic has a 12-year guarantee. So anyway, we're going to try that because it's made for roofs that don't have much slope. Now, I stopped to look at this door, this rusty metal door, because he's converting that from a storeroom to an area attached to our little building there, and that'll be for eating and sleeping, and then the place where we normally have outside will be where we do our fun thing, and then we can get rid of the fifth wheel. So I want to thank you for watching my videos as always, and God bless.